Newport County 2, Manchester United 4, through to the fifth round of the FA Cup. I'm joined by Stephen Howson, and first of all, let's just address this. Why do you look like that?
So I look, Joe.
You don't normally.
I've explained it. I've explained it on my review, and there's a link to the video of what happened on my review. So rather than clogging up this with it, go and watch my review. And there's a link on there if you want to go and see what happened.
Okay. Well, by the look of it, you put up more fight than United's defence did today. I'll say that much, because 2 goals up. Thank you. 2 goals up. Once again, dropping a 2-goal lead. There's a minute there where I genuinely thought this is replay City or worse. Eventually, we pulled away. The quality showed. But just looking at the big picture to start with, and we'll go into some details. Why do you think United struggled once again today? Almost like no matter who we play, we make it difficult for ourselves. What do we really struggle with today?
Well, I thought we started great. You know, I saw shape. I saw patterns. I saw us trying to play out with what looked like a system. At times, it didn't look like Newport were trying to bite. Like they'd obviously gone, allow them to have it in the first line of defence, because they haven't really got a hold-up player to knock it to, certainly not a League Two style hold-up player, so we'll deal with this probably. They probably fancied their chances at forcing United to go long, so it's a pretty good tactic from them to just sort of have a bit of a high block, if you like, without fully pressing onto our back line. But United, persisted with it, and for first 20 minutes, we looked bloody good. I was excited seeing Maino alongside Casemiro. I was excited to see Martinez and Varane and that quartet. And Luke Shaw's probably got a little bit in there as well. I was excited to see how they play football and dominate the ball. And that first 20 minutes, it couldn't have really gone better. It was flawless. And there was shape in the final third, and we were creating chances, and we was getting the midfield into the box. We scored the first goal. Anthony off the left-hand side, by the way. I saw more good decisions from him in that 45 seconds he spent on the left-hand side than I have in the rest of his United career. So can we maybe experiment with that in the future?
Yep.
Obviously, Kobe Mainoo then gets a second, and you're like, oh, fucking get the pants off, lads. It's going to be 4 or 5-0 first half. But then what I think happened is, rather than literally killing the game by getting that third and fourth, probably, early, because that would have sealed the game then, and you could have passed it around and done whatever you want. Mm-hmm. I thought the wingers, especially Anthony and Garnacho, I thought they started playing for individual glory rather than continuing to push. Like, if we'd have got to 4 or 5-0 and Garnacho's not got a goal, I think the team then would have been setting him up.
Yeah.
But we've come away again seeing Højlund probably set more goal-scoring opportunities for everybody else than he got combined from everybody else, which is ridiculous. And I think that's the fundamental issue in Manchester United this season, is there's too much individualism in the final third, too much poor decision-making in the final third, and a complete lack of desire to set this little fucker up.
Yeah. Why do you think that is then? Because I was saying to Jane during the watch-along, it almost felt like at times, and a lot this season, where our wingers seem to think if they cut past their man or they beat their fullback, they're sort of entitled to have a shot, regardless of what's going on over here, regardless of whether it's a better option to square or to play the ball across. They go, I've skinned my man here, I get to shoot now. And there was loads of times where we seem to see that this season. Do you feel like there's a level of they don't sort of look up for the second time? Do you think it's a coaching thing? Do you think it's just a personnel and maybe even an ego thing to a certain extent? Why is that?
I haven't got the answer to that, unfortunately. Yeah. I wish I did. Some people will say it's on Ten Hag for allowing this, and there's probably an element of truth to that, but I don't think it's the entire truth. I question why these players aren't doing it for themselves and how they're not able to individually recognise that. I've said this so many times, and I don't think people fully take it on board, or they just disagree with me. But people overstate what managers do and control, and understate the amount that the players take responsibility for stuff. Well, I'm lucky enough to do podcasts with a couple of Premier League players, Ash and Rio, different footballers, I would say, in terms of the way they played the game, and certainly in terms of what they achieved, although one captained his country however many times and did actually win something, and Ash did as well. I think when you listen to them speaking, so much of what and Roy Keane said this as well as a third party for that. Roy Keane always said, no manager ever motivated me. You know, no manager's ever done blah blah blah. Yes, tactics, yes, in certain instructions, but quite often the best managers in the final third, a manager's job is to make you defensively sound and put you in a position to create chances. The finishing of chances, that final ball and the finish, you can't really coach that. You can practice it, but you can't coach it. You've got it or you've not. Single scenario where this player's going to slide in front of you here and this one's going to be here and the keeper will be 3 foot off his line. Like, you can't do that. So you just have to, like, pattern recognize and just repeat it. So you practice it, but you can't coach it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because some people are going to go, I've got a fucking clue what you mean there. But, like, Pep Guardiola talks about patterns in a mad sense. But the final ball and the finish, he says he doesn't coach. Like, he doesn't coach that sort of stuff. Fergie's always said, I will coach you up to here. What happens in the final third is instinct alone. So go at it. And I look at the players that we've got at the moment, and their instinct and their decision-making is not there. How many times you see Anthony come in, bend it, and send one over the bar?
Yeah, 3 or 4 times a game, maybe more.
Do you think the manager's like, do you want to be really, really fucking sound? Is if 4 or 5 times a game you just fucking try and knock someone out on a second tier?
Yeah.
Not doing that, is it?
No.
And the same with Garnacho. Every time you burst into the box, and he's so quick off the mark that he quite often gets in front of the defence and in front of any support players that he's got. So he's in the perfect position to slide one across the front of that defence and hope that someone like a Højlund is quick enough to get on the end of it and send it homeward. And then you'll see the other instances where they'll fuck about with it and they'll chop it and they'll chop it and they'll chop it. You don't see players putting it into the box anymore while the forward has got a fighting chance. Because while the attack is running towards their net and the attacker is running towards their net, you've got a real chance at directing that goal into that net. All of you have, including the defenders. When the defence turns and gets set, they're actually being able to defend that ball coming in because that's the most advantageous position. Everybody, from a technical point of view, wants to be able to defend a ball that's coming in where I can see the ball, I can see my man, and my hips and my chest are facing out away from my goal.
Yeah.
There's a line. You can't defend your goal by facing it. But we often get in behind the defence where they are facing their goal, and then we don't put the ball into the right areas for it. It's fucking maddening watching us at the moment.
It is so frustrating. And you look at Højlund, I think he had... I don't think he had a shot in the first half. I think he had 2 or 3 touches in their box the entire first half. And then you see in the second half, you know, the ball spills, and I think Howson does pretty well, good through ball from Garnacho as well. And just, you know, the ball just ends up in the back of the net because he's in good positions. It's just so often the winger's cutting inside and hitting it over the bar or passing it to the goalkeeper. Do you think there's a... Looking at the defence, because obviously it's weird, we're concentrating on the attack, when I think rightly so, but we scored 4, which is kind of what you'd expect. The thing we didn't really expect was to concede 2. Does the defending worry you at all? We saw United's probably first choice back 4 today, probably first choice midfield as well, or certainly what a lot of people would pick. Did the defensive side worry you at all, or did you look at their goals more as, you know, a bit of fluke, bit of luck, or that sort of thing?
I think there was an element of that. At first glance, I don't think there was anything like fundamentally daft and wrong with how we defended. Maybe numbers, but like, you know, you're pushing forward, trying to win a game. You would think, you know, we were always going to be asked to play. I spoke about this quite a lot in my review. When you're asking, you know, you're up against a team that's got a back 5, they're going to leave 2 up against you. You are asking 2 players generally, especially with how high our fullbacks got, to play 1v1 a little bit. So when the ball was breaking, we were asking them to do quite a lot, but they was coping with it. And, you know, they're playing players that are, you know, 4 or 5 levels below, and you would expect them to cope with it as well, to be honest with you, which they largely did. Now, all right, they scored 2. I think that is problematic. And what I was saying in the build-up to the game is, in the game, I really want a good performance. And I think we got 20 minutes of a good performance.
Yep.
And I think that's all you could say. Because I think the rest of, like, when we went selfish mode, And then by the time we were making subs, I think it got disjointed as fuck, in all honesty. And how weird is it that as soon as someone like Howson comes on, actually Højlund can get the opportunity to get a fucking goal because the first choice ones will not give him the ball.
It's bizarre. It's almost, and then obviously I'm not trying to, create things here because I don't know anything in, this is just my opinion. They almost look like they don't like each other at times. Like it looks like they're trying not to pass to him. It's so sort of blatant at times where, he's running in and he's, like you said, he's got the defenders sprinting toward their own goal and a slide across the front and at least he's got a chance and they're just not doing it. It's quite strange to watch. Just looking ahead a little bit, United will play either Nottingham Forest or Bristol City in the next round. That fixture probably going to take place in about a month's time, end of February. Hopefully United have picked up a bit of steam, a bit of momentum with these players coming back. Do you see us having any chance of winning the FA Cup? Do you think that that's a genuine, realistic target for this season?
If someone knocks everyone else out, yeah, we will.
Yeah,
If
we could play Luton in the final, we might have a chance.
I don't know what team, in terms of placing in the pyramid, I don't know what team I can sit here and say that United definitely beat them. We don't definitely beat City, for sure.
No.
If we play City in an FA Cup final, well, we did that in fucking June or whenever it was, and I see it going exactly the same way.
Yeah, me too.
If we play Liverpool, I see it going exactly the same way, but being more painful.
Yeah.
You catch Arsenal right, they can bottle it, but I wouldn't fancy my chances.
No.
I might be saying 50-50, but in my head I might be going fucking 40-60.
Yeah.
35-65. I might not fully believe it if I'm saying it.
Yeah.
I fancy us against Chelsea, but Christ, would you want to see Villa? Would you want to see Spurs?
I know.
I don't fancy us against any of them if we were meeting them in a final, mate.
No.
And United have got 4 or 5 months to change my mind on that and actually put a good run together with the 11. Yes, we saw the 11 today, but, Luke Shaw, not match fit. Casemiro, not match fit. And still shite decision-making going on up the top. So, maybe it'll start clicking into gear in 3 or 4 games' time. But it needs to, man, because if he'd have lost that game today, the noise for getting rid of him would have been so fucking deafening. You can't keep losing games.
No.
And I don't necessarily put how we're playing entirely on him, but some of it's on him.
Yeah, of course. And just another thing with the draw, just going through it, there's no sort of 2 big teams facing each other. We saw City Tottenham, didn't we? It's Newcastle versus Blackburn or Wrexham, Chelsea or Villa versus Leeds or Plymouth, Leicester versus Bournemouth kind of almost cancel each other out, but then it's Liverpool probably against Watford or Southampton. You've got Man United versus Forest or Bristol, Brighton against Wolves, Sheffield Wednesday versus Maidstone, and then Luton City. Unless it's a giant killing, you would expect, like you said, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, all to go through and be in the next round. There's no one of them's going out fixture, so we're going to have to probably face 2 or 3 top teams if we want to win it. That seems unlikely to me.
Yeah, I don't really fancy our chances in it, to be honest, and ultimately it is the only silverware we've got any hope of winning. So where does that put us?
Yeah.
And then you think, can we finish inside the top 4? Yeah, we can. Will we? I feel like a 5th place at the moment is where we're at.
Yeah, unfortunately, the shiniest thing about this season is probably going to be your eye. But thank you for joining us. Cheers, Steve.
Great fucking line.
Thank you very much. That's going to be all from us. Manchester United have beaten Newport County 4-2 away from home, scraped through to the 5th round of the FA Cup. We'll see you in a bit.